Implementations of the task, the diagrams under investigation are circles with 2 to 9 equidistant points plotted around the circumference. So let's look at all the possibilities. With 2 points, you have a diameter and no chords. With 3 points, you have 3 chords, 3 points, and you don't have to lift your pen more than once. A gap of 2 also results in the same image as if you start here and you skip 2 chords, spots, 1, 2, 3. That's how you draw that shape. Essentially, it is drawing the same as a gap of 1, but in an anti-clockwise direction. So it is its mirrored pair. Same thing happens with these 4 points. A gap of 1 draws the square in a clockwise direction, and a gap of 3 draws it in an anti-clockwise direction, both with only lifting the pen once. With a gap of 2, it results in 2 diameters and no chords. 5 points, a gap of 1 and a gap of 4 produce the same image, mirrored pairs once again. A gap of 2 and a gap of 3 result in this star here. They are the 2 mirrored pairs, 5 chords, 5 points, and you only lift your pen once. 6 points, a gap of 1 and a gap of 5 both result in this image here. They're the mirrored pairs once again, clockwise, gap of 1, anti-clockwise draws the shape for a gap of 5. A gap of 2 and a gap of 4 with 6 points and 6 chords results in 2 triangles being pictured inside the circle, creating a star. So you have to lift your pen twice for that. A gap of 2 here results in no chords, lifting your pen 3 times to produce 3 diameters. For 7 equidistant points, a gap of 1 and a gap of 6 both produce this result. Gap of 1 is you're drawing clockwise. Gap of 6 appears that you're drawing the same image but anti-clockwise, both only lifting the pen once. This star is produced with a gap of 2 as well as a gap of 5. The mirrored pairs once again, lifting your pen only once for 7 chords and 7 points. This star results in a gap of 3 and a gap of 4, 7 points, 7 chords, lifting your pen only once. So there's quite a pattern that there's often mirrored pairs, except for a few outliers. So 8 points here, a gap of 1 and a gap of 7 prove the same result with 8 chords and only lifting your pen once. A gap of 2 and a gap of 6 with 8 points produces 2 squares, therefore having to lift your pen twice. Gap of 2 producing them in a clockwise direction and a gap of 6 in the anti-clockwise direction. For 8 points, gap of 3 and a gap of 5 both produce the star here, lifting your pen only once. And a gap of 4 results in no chords, just 4 diameters, therefore lifting your pen 4 times. 9 points, 9 chords, 1 pen lift. Gap of 1 results in the image drawn clockwise, gap of 8 anti-clockwise. So those are the mirrored pairs. Gap of 2 and gap of 7 produce what looks like 2 squares almost, but it isn't quite. It's a funny shaped star, so it results in only 1 pen lift, but mirrored pairs once again. Gap of 3 and a gap of 6 results in 3 triangles. Gap of 3 draws them in a clockwise direction, gap of 6 in an anti-clockwise with 3 pen lifts. For 9 points with a gap of 4 and a gap of 5, they're the mirrored pairs with only 1 pen lift to produce that star there. By drawing all of the possibilities, it becomes evident that the same shape can result from different drawing sequences, for example, this one here. If we compile the information from the sketches, we are able to compare and contrast to identify if any patterns exist. So from the known information, we're able to calculate the angle between the equidistant points plotted around the circumference. So that's in this column here. The shape and its mirror are also able to be better identified through colour coordinating their entries in this column here, known as common shapes. So from analysing the data, it's clear there are 3 shapes that do not follow any sort of pattern. They're just numbered the shapes there as I went through to better identify them. And these outliers are these yellow ones. So amongst the other data, however, it can be seen that the number of chords is equal to the number of points. So let's have a look here. 4 and 4, 5 and 5. However, it doesn't work for the outliers, as seen here. The gap will also always be less than the number of points, as there must always be at least one more point for the gap, for the shape to be finished and then therefore closed. It can also be said that you only have to lift your pen when the sum of the gaps of the common shapes is equal to the number of points of the shapes. When the number of gaps is half the number of points, you must lift your pen the same number of times as the gap value. These patterns have been able to be identified as per the limitations of the task. So this could differ if the scale of the investigation was altered, etc. So that's something definitely important to keep in mind. However, the patterns here can be identified, and the relationship between these common shapes is easier to see through colour coordination.